with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Well, today already sucks. Today's not bad, actually. I shouldn't exaggerate. We have NCAA Tournament basketball on all day. We had Bad Daddies for lunch here at the K-Row Studios. Unfortunately, though, my bracket is already cooked. Should have known, Grayson. Shouldn't. I don't even know why I fill out a bracket at this point. I feel like the tournament would be more fun to watch if I didn't have a bracket to get busted. You know? I feel like if I were to just watch March Madness every single year with absolutely no vested interest whatsoever in the outcomes of any of the games, it would be a lot more enjoyable.
You are by yourself on that one.
Really?
Yes.
Now listen, by no means am I saying I'm going to stop filling out bracket. That will never happen.
Okay, good.
I do not have it in me to stop filling out a bracket every single year. If you are one of those people, I respect you, but come on, it's an American tradition to fill out a bracket and watch it burn every year. But I can't help but wonder, you know what? It's kind of like watching the NFL when you have a fantasy football team.
Exactly.
You know, I found so much more enjoyment in watching the NFL before I played fantasy football because I could just enjoy it for what it was. Now I'm like, well, shoot, I got to have one more catch from Ladd McConkey in order to put me over the top in this fantasy matchup.
See, I enjoy fantasy football. I play in multiple leagues every year.
Oh, yeah, it's enjoyable. It just creates a lot more stress and anxiety.
At least you're not like me. I had to sweat out the first leg of a parlay this morning. Terrence Edwards, thank God he hit a three-point shot in the last 90 seconds of that game to get his over in the points, rebounds, assists.
And see, there you go. How many legs is this particular parlay?
5.
5 legs.
Well, because we're doing 4 hours of radio today, I staggered the legs of the parlay to where I've got somebody playing all throughout the 4 hours of our show.
Interesting.
So I've got 2 guys for Auburn going right now. Janai Broom, as soon as he scores, they had a discount on Prize Picks, so as soon as he scores a point, that'll hit. And then Chad Baker-Mazara, I've got his over points, rebounds, assists at 19.5. And then I've got a guy from Kansas and a guy from Michigan.
I respect the hustle. How much money do you have riding on this particular parlay?
15 to win 150.
Oh, okay. Okay. I don't hate that. Doing $15 now on the first day of the NCAA tournament.
Hell yeah.
As long as you're not, like, I got a buddy who will bet hundreds of dollars a piece on just random games and random lines. Like, okay, you're a degenerate. You are the definition of a degenerate. And he is.
There are also some people who make pretty good supplemental income doing this. Somehow, some way.
Maybe I should consider that. No, I'm not considering that.
You don't sports bet, do you?
No. I like keeping my money.
Fair enough.
As opposed to losing it. Folks, Locked In is brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones Buick GMC out in El Reno. Family owned and operated. Great service, great sales staff. Obviously, they sell Buicks and GMCs. Some of the best trucks and SUVs on the road. And, of course, they have half-price oil changes on Saturdays, so you can get that service discount if you head out this weekend to Dorsey Jones Buick GMC in El Reno. If you want to chime in on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3439 is how you do so. Grayson and I have 4 hours of radio ahead. 4 hours of radio. The great news is the 2 days that you and I have to do 4 hours of radio happen to be the 2 days of the year where there is more going on than any other 2-day window on the sporting calendar.
Oh, no, we got the 2 best days to have to do 4 hours of radio.
Powder Puff on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line says, I have never filled out a bracket, not one, and I'm 48 years old. The only reason I'll pay attention to the tournament this year is because Oklahoma is in it. Anytime Oklahoma is in anything, I pay attention, but no bracket. I bet you lead a very serene, tranquil life, Powder Puff. Oh, to be you. Again, 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. We're going to talk about a lot of things over the next 4 hours. We will talk OU spring football. We will talk OU hoops. We're going to welcome Oklahoma basketball insider Brody Lusk from OUinsider.com to the show at 3:20 to preview OU's matchup with UConn tomorrow and also discuss some of the things that may happen for the Sooners in the postseason portal. We'll get his thoughts on the Porter-Moser-Villanova situation. So looking forward to that conversation coming up at 3:20. But we'll try to keep things pretty OU football forward here over the next hour or so. I do reserve the right to break off at any time and start talking about college basketball because, again, folks, it's the first week of March Madness. College hoops is what everyone across the country is paying attention to. And if you're not, I don't know what you are paying attention to. We'll have to talk OU baseball at some point. I guess that's one other thing you may be paying attention to this weekend. They welcome Mississippi State to Norman for a 3-game weekend set. OU baseball is 18-2. 18-2.
Solid
right
start,
now.
man.
Yeah, that's more than a solid start. That is an excellent, dare I say, elite start. They took 2 of 3 on the road last weekend from South Carolina out in Columbia. So we'll talk a little bit about OU baseball throughout the day as we move along. Santa John on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line says, Parker, I understand this hour is about recruiting. Primarily, yes, it is, Santa John. He says, but you wrote a piece on OU Insider regarding the cutthroat vibes Jim Nagy is emitting. I thought this article was some of your best work. Please expound. And yes, folks, if you're not subscribed at OUinsider.com, would highly recommend it. You're going to get behind-the-scenes insights on the team and on the program, the likes of which you cannot find anywhere else. But this is a conversation that we touched on a little bit earlier in the week, Grayson. Just the reality that things are changing with Jim Nagy at the helm of the personnel department at Oklahoma. In your mind, I'll spin this into a question for you. In your mind, who are some guys on this roster who should probably be worried going into spring that if they don't perform, they might wind up on the chopping block?
Oh, I love this conversation. And we usually have this talk in the NFL when it comes to those last weeks of training camp.
Yep.
When it comes to you got to shave your roster down to 53. Okay, this is interesting. Oh, I'll give you one that might surprise some people.
Okay.
And this is primarily because of how talented they are at this position and his injury history. Can we not – I don't think we can dismiss Javonte Barnes from this conversation. Now, I don't think that will happen, but if you look at a guy, I mean, he's not been able to stay healthy.
That's true.
So I think that's a place where you have to start. How many quarterbacks do they want to keep? I think is another question. Because how many quarterbacks do they have on the roster right now?
4 scholarship quarterbacks. They're going to keep all of them.
They're going to keep all of them.
Yep.
Okay. For me, it's Javonte Barnes who gets the start. I think maybe you trim some at wide receiver. I know I'm being very general here because this one I will admit caught me out of left field. So I would go wide receiver. Maybe you shave 1 or 2 there, but otherwise, I'm going to defer to you on this one. That's where I would start with that question.
Yeah. Well, and to anybody kind of wondering who might be some of the guys in the crosshairs that could wind up on their way out of town due to a decision that's made at the absolute highest level, i.e. Jim Nagy and his folks within the OU athletic department, I would say just, hey, look at this roster. Look at the guys that for the last couple of years have been kind of treading water on the depth chart. Not really going anywhere, not really making a whole lot of on-field impact. And I'm not one to name names, and I'm not one to go above and beyond in the realm of speculation, but I will say it's not that difficult to go through this roster and pick out guys that fit that bill. Pick out guys that you at this point you find yourself wondering, okay, are they ever going to do anything here? Now, you do not ask that question with guys that have only been here 1 year, okay? Look, Devon Mitchell is one of those guys that I think it's perfectly fair to wonder, can he play and make an impact at 275 pounds? There are plenty of questions that are fair surrounding Devon Mitchell. The question you should not be asking is, well, will he ever amount to anything at the collegiate level? Way too early to make that determination. He's got all 4 years of eligibility at his disposal. And I'm not saying anyone is immune, and I don't think there is anyone on this roster that is immune from the cut, if you, what do they call it in NFL circles? The Turk. I don't think there's anyone, save obviously for like John Mateer, that is 100% immune from the Turk. Because here's the other thing, Grayson. It's not even necessarily completely within your power to control everything. Because what if you get hurt? What if you get hurt and the program decides we cannot count on this guy to be the same dude post-injury that he was pre-injury? For what we're paying him, we might as well just cut him loose and go and grab somebody in the portal that is of a comparable level of talent, might be cheaper, and doesn't carry the asterisk of an injury history. And so anybody that's dealt with major injuries, anybody that's dealt with major surgeries, anybody that's missed substantial time, it's guys like that that you have to wonder about. You know, I don't imagine that Jim Nagy has a completely comprehensive picture of the roster just yet. Jim Nagy, I guarantee you, does not know the roster half as well as many folks that listen to this show every day and interact on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line do. I mean, Jim Nagy has been here for 2 weeks, right? He has 100+ new players to learn, and obviously he's aware of some of them. He does not know the full story and can't know the full story with the time that he's been here on every single one of Oklahoma's scholarship football players, and certainly cannot make a decision on which ones should stay and which ones should go just yet. But that's what spring ball is for. And if you've paid attention, especially to the coverage that has been rendered by the beat reporters that have been out to open sessions at practice, Jim Nagy has been out there on the practice field with his little notepad, taking notes, observing position groups, just trying to get a feel for what's what out there. I don't know that there will be anybody watching as closely over the next several weeks to see what happens on the practice field than Jim Nagy, because he kind of has to. It's in his hands. Right? He is the personnel czar. He's the one that's ultimately going to be making the decisions on who sticks around and who gets replaced.
So, based on what you just articulated there, it seems like basically you're talking about his injury history and guys who, look, we may not be able to count on them to make a sustained impact. Javante Barnes would be at the top of that list. Javante Barnes would be at the top of that list. You know who else would qualify for that?
Who's
just
that?
Based on that, Gentry Williams. Gentry Williams, I don't think belongs in this conversation because he's projected as the number one corner on this team, depending on how you view Eli Bowen. So I don't think he qualifies there. I'll tell you who does qualify for that, though, Caden Helm. Based on that.
Yeah, he's been through a lot. And it was great to see him catch that touchdown pass last year against Maine. Great to see him get in the rotation a little bit more. And, you know, there was somebody on the text line that said, why don't you just at Jaron Kanik? I guarantee you they're not cutting bait with Jaron Kanik.
No.
Because right now, and I'm not saying this is going to be the case come week 1, and I'm not saying this won't change before the end of spring ball. Right now, if you ask me who Oklahoma's starting tight end is, Jaron Kanik is the answer. Jaron Kanik is probably the guy that if you started the season tomorrow would get the first crack at playing tight end. So, I understand he probably hasn't done as much in an overall sense as OU fans would like to have seen over the last 3 years at linebacker, but it's kind of a new horizon for him. And if they didn't believe he could handle it, if they didn't believe he could make an impact at tight end, well, then they would have told him get on out of here in the winter portal window. If they didn't think he could add value at tight end, when everybody kind of knew at that point, okay, it's the end of the line for him at linebacker, they'd have told him to leave. They didn't. And thus far, again, from everything that we've seen and everything that I've heard from the practice field, that confidence in Jaren Kanak to add value at tight end, it's being rewarded. Drew from Flower Mound says, who do I reach out to about the KREF bracket pool to open it up? I'm in the group, but I have a bracket with no selections instead of my bracket where I have my selections. I don't know. Maybe I'll give you Perry Spencer's personal phone number. You can hit up Perry. I wouldn't do that to you, Perry, if you're listening. Don't worry. We'll discuss in the break, Drew. We'll find a way to get you situated there. Chris from Knoxville asked, can Kanak complete a trick play tight end pass, though? He did play a little quarterback in high school. So I think
Sharp played quarterback in high school too, didn't he?
That he did. I think as far as completing a trick play pass, I don't know. To me, as long as he doesn't pirouette and throw a pop fly into the middle of nowhere to get picked off, I'm okay with it. Let's hope Jaren Kanak isn't throwing the ball at all in 2025, just to play on the safe side of things. Okay, we're due for a timeout here on Locked In. This is the Ref Sports Radio Network, and March Madness is underway. Auburn leads Alabama State 18-8. Wisconsin closing out Montana right now. They lead 74-61 in that one with 5:25 to play. Houston's putting it on SIU Edwardsville. 58-30 is the score with 16 minutes left in that one. So we got an eye on all these games. I know many of you do as well. But we'll keep talking OU spring football on the other side and hit some of your texts on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Don't go anywhere.
This is Deion Burks, and you're listening to The Ref, the home for Sooner fans.
Attention construction pros. Purple Wave Auction brings quality equipment to your fingertips. Join our bi-weekly online auctions featuring dozers, excavators, loaders, and more. We provide detailed listings, photos, and seller contact info. Inspect online or in person. With our no reserve policy, every item sells to the highest bidder. Visit purplewave.com today and see why informed builders choose Purple Wave. Transparent processes, real deals. Your next great purchase awaits. purplewave.com.
What are you doing out there?
Come on!
I saw you at the game the other night. Yeah, you. Up there getting mad, acting like we're all out there making $1 million a game. Well, let me be real with you. This isn't the pros. It's school sports, and it's a game, our game. So please, let us play.
School sports fans, remember, when you cheer for your team, make noise for the right reasons. This message presented by the NFHS and the NIAAA.
And all student athletes in Oklahoma.
You're listening to the home of Sooner fans, KREF, Norman, Oklahoma, and streaming live on the KREF app. The Ref Sports Radio Network.
It's your lucky day every day here at Riverwind Casino.
With nearly 3,000 of your favorite games. Plus the best rewards program in the Metro.
Use your wild card to win big in our $80,000 Golden Clovers giveaway.
Party like a VIP in a private lounge at the Showplace Theater.
We've got the best of the best.
And we'll see you at Riverwind.
That twinge in your knee isn't going to wait until Monday, and neither do we. At Orthostat, we've expanded, so you get better hours, better facilities, and the same great care. Open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. Whether it's sprains, strains, fractures, or joint pain, from knuckles to knees and every joint in between, our same-day, affordable care gets you back to life faster. Visit OuchOrthostat.com to learn more.
Entrepreneurs and More Norman in South Oklahoma City have an experienced business partner in their neighborhood. More Norman Technology Center's workforce and economic development team understands the challenges entrepreneurs and small businesses face every day. From building an effective business model to hiring the right employees and managing cash flow, More Norman's business development experts can help you move forward confidently and thrive, knowing that you have a skilled partner at your side. Learn more about More Norman's Technology Center by calling 405-801-5000 or visit us online at mntc.edu. you.
Hey, it's Mike Steely here for Cavens Group. Has it ever happened to you? You get home from the weekend, you arrive back at work on Monday, and your office is full of water. Not good. Now we're in that time of the year where pipes or sprinkler lines will freeze, and this can lead to a ton of damage to your home or business. Plus, if it's not cleaned up properly, that can lead to even more costly repairs in the future. Call Cavens Group today at 405-573-3048 or visit cavensgroup.com.
The deals are madness this March across Esper Honda's full inventory. Shop 2 great deals on Honda's most popular 2025 SUVs. Pay just $249 a month for an HR-V LX front-wheel drive or $289 per month for a CR-V EX front-wheel drive. And for every vehicle purchased in March, we'll donate $100 to Toby Keith's OK Kids Corral. That's 89th and I-35 or online at esperhonda.com.
HR-V front-wheel drive, $2.99 for 36 months. CR-V front-wheel drive, $1.99 for 36 months. Per-year, 10,000-mile lease, $500 down plus TTNL and first month's payment through AHF ends 4/125.
It's been said that when someone you love has Parkinson's, you have Parkinson's.
The Parkinson's Foundation knows that the disease doesn't just affect the diagnosed. It affects everyone who supports and helps care for them.
If you have questions, the Parkinson's Foundation has answers.
We can help you understand the disease
and give you tips for living a better life.
Find your answers at parkinson.org or call 1-800-473-4636. The Parkinson's Foundation. Better lives together.
Finals so far from the NCAA Tournament. Just 2 games in the books thus far. Creighton knocked off Louisville in what was a pretty one-sided game from about 3 minutes till halftime on. Blue Jays will face, presumably, Auburn in the round of 32. Auburn leads Alabama State 19-10 right now, just 10 minutes down in that game. The other game that's gone final, Purdue beat High Point. High Point making their first trip to the NCAA Tournament. They picked up a lot of press these last couple days on social media because I guess their university has some really, really cool perks that comes with tuition, which after aid is in the neighborhood of $39,000 a year. Damn. But apparently there's an ice cream truck on campus that students can get ice cream from for free. And they have a steak restaurant where you can eat once a month for free, which, shoot, I'll take a free steak dinner every month.
Sure.
It's not quite as, probably not getting the same, well, I shouldn't call it return on investment, or maybe I should since you're paying tuition. Probably not getting the same return on investment with the steakhouse as you are with the free ice cream anytime you want it, but still. I might go do a doctorate at High Point. I could be convinced.
Would you want to do a doctorate, period?
No, I absolutely would not.
Okay.
I would say I'm getting a doctorate just so I could go screw around on campus for a year, you know. Just enjoy the experience. Savor it. You don't realize how much you miss college until you're like a year out of college. You're like, man, college was so much fun.
Oh, I'm there right now.
Yeah?
As we speak.
Drew from Firemound points out, High Point is where Duke Miles came from, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. You are correct. Gunny of Stutzman Army adds, that would be a high guy's dream, free ice cream and a steak. I can't speak from experience on that, Gunny, but I will certainly take your word for it. If there's anyone that would know, it's certainly you.
I had a lot of friends and roommates who were stoners in college. Judging from them, you are exactly right.
Okay, back to the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line here. A 405 listener with regard to the whole personnel roster construction conversation says, will they ask young guys that aren't making an impact but have potential to take a pay cut instead of cutting completely? Great question. And yes, I would imagine that's the first thing you do with a guy that, you know, maybe he's been around for a year or two, hasn't made a huge dent yet, and you're paying him a lot of money, but you feel like one day he could be worth it. Right now he might not be, but one day you figure if he's developed, he could be. Before you just say, okay, get on out of here, we're done with you, probably going to ask the kid, hey, would you be willing to take a little bit less money to stick around? Or, if not, why don't you hit the transfer portal and see if you can do better on the open market. See if you can make more money on the open market than you're making here. So I would certainly, let's just say for the sake of the hypothetical, and I'm not saying this will happen or is already in the process of happening, none of that. But let's just say, for the sake of the hypothetical, that Oklahoma decided we are paying Devon Mitchell too much money for a guy that has not seen the field yet. First thing Jim Nagy and that staff is going to do, they're going to say, hey, Vaughn, would you be willing to take a little bit less? If he says no, then okay. Is what it is. You move on.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's okay with sticking around, taking less, playing with all of his buddies, keeping himself grounded at the University of Oklahoma as opposed to uprooting everything, then great. It works out for both parties. Oklahoma saves a little bit of coin, and the kid doesn't have to go learn a whole new playbook, whole new scheme, and get settled personally at a different institution. So, yes, in some, I do think that would be something Oklahoma does moving forward with those younger guys. If you're dealing with an older guy, a guy that maybe only has a year or two left, and you come to the realization that this is not working, this is probably never going to work, then it's probably not giving him the option to stick around.
Well, let me ask you this, or let me pitch this to you. I think part of this conversation has to do with how much you're going to pay guys who haven't made an impact. Your Michael Fasusis of the world.
Yep.
Your Michael Hawkins of the world. This sort of a conversation will factor into how much you pay recruits to try to get them on campus in the first place. And I think, here's my guess what's going to happen. As more schools follow what Oklahoma's doing in terms of building a traditional front office in that sense, there's going to be slots for these sorts of freshmen that they're recruiting. Kind of like there is in the NFL, kind of like there is in the NBA. You're going to have a certain slot of money based on whether you're a 5-star, it might be commensurate to, a professional form of a first-round pick, or a high 4-star, the 3-star. You're going to get this amount of money in this window. And that's where we're going to have to budget out because of budgetary constraints. So I think that's coming down the pike, too, because you're not going to keep going to all your veterans, be them good or not, or just depth pieces, and say, hey, all of you guys take pay cuts, while here comes a freshman who's never played a down of college football making upwards of, $1.5 million in a particular season.
Tattoo Baker on the text line says, Grayson was the dude in the corner meme in college.
What settings are we talking about here? Well, actually, there were hardly any where I was in the corner.
I think he was referring to the whole smoking weed thing.
Oh, that thing. Okay, yes. In that case, yes.
Gunny of Stutzman Army, of course. Loop back around and said, y'all know the only downside of smoking weed? You have less weed. Oh, Gunny.
Good night.
Michael and Marla says, Hawk led them to the first SEC win in program history, but he hasn't contributed, LOL.
I didn't mean at all. But he was paid a commensurate amount of money before he stepped on to the field as a recruit. That's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Oklahoma actually got Hawkins at a pretty hefty discount.
Did they really?
Yeah. Because he wanted to be here.
Hometown discount?
Yeah, legacy kid. That dude has always wanted to wear the crimson and cream, and that's all he ever really wanted to do, period. He wanted to be the quarterback at Oklahoma. That's what he spent his childhood and adolescence working toward, and so when that opportunity presented itself, he jumped on it. And money wasn't really an object to him. Powder Puff says, well, it would be just like the NFL draft. Every player drafted in the first, second, and third round, they're drafting on potential, so that's what you would be paying. And if they don't pan out, that's when they take less money or get cut. Yeah, a guy like Michael Fasusi, Oklahoma is paying him a pretty hefty amount of money, as they should, because you have the expectation, the full expectation, and you're already starting to see it a little bit on the practice field this spring. You have the expectation that guy is going to be a multi-year starter, all-conference type of guy, somebody that once he gets on the field and performs, I should say, for an offensive lineman, more so than producing. Once he gets on the field and performs, you match that with his athletic tools and how well he's going to test in most categories. You're looking at a guy that certainly has a ton of first-round potential in the long run. So you're definitely willing to pay that guy a little bit more or a lot of bit more in the long run than, a 3-star defensive lineman you bring in to be a depth piece initially, and if he pans out, great. If not, you'll have other guys that you can lean on. Chapstick says, can you see a plan for OU to reduce from the $15 to $20 million we spend now to the $10.7 million the House settlement is expected to pass on to football players? Chapstick, I don't think there's going to be a reduction necessary, because this is not like the NFL salary cap. This is the distinction we have to draw here. It's not as if whatever the number ends up being, let's just use your number right there, $10.7 million. It's not as if every single university only has $10.7 million to allot to their roster. No, that $10.7 million is all that can come from the university itself via whatever collective it operates, or, each university is going to have a certain amount of money that they can contribute to their own roster. But external NIL deals are still going to be very prominent, and they're still going to be everywhere, because you can't restrict student athletes' ability to go get NIL deals outside of the collective. Right? You can't say the $10.7 million that every university has as a quote-unquote salary cap is the only way that these student athletes can earn money for their name, image, and likeness. Now, what's going to happen is every university will have the ability to go spend whatever that number is, $10.7 million, but there will be millions and millions and millions more that come from quote-unquote outside sources, and I say quote-unquote because we all know, right? Much like the collective, the very concept of the collective was just kind of designed to game the system and make sure that you could pay student athletes obscene amounts of money. There will be ways that the salary cap is taking advantage of it. And there's going to be this NCAA clearinghouse that they've talked about where they can, nix NIL deals if it's determined that the deal in question isn't commensurate with the amount of work, for lack of a better word, that the student athlete is doing in return for the deal. How long is it going to take for that to get challenged in court? Let's say there's a car dealership that wants to pay a quarterback at a given university $800,000 to do a couple commercials. And the NCAA clearinghouse says, nope, you know what? If all they're doing is a couple commercials, you can't be paying them $800,000 for that. As with anything the NCAA does these days, here's what's going to happen. That's going to get sent to court. The NCAA will lose the case. And so, yes, there's some measure of restriction coming, I suppose, or some leveling of the playing field in the sense that everybody's going to have the same internal pool of money that they're working with. But external NIL deals are going to continue to be proliferate across the sport, and probably remain the primary medium of revenue generation for the typical student athlete. KG in Piedmont says, downside of smoking weed is making weight, because, man, can I make a mean snack or 40. I guess KG's a stoner, too. You got to get your street cred up, KG. Gunny is the stoner king on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. All of you pale in comparison to the legend of Gunny.
KG just broke down the downside of the munchies.
Chapstick says, don't those millions more go through the clearinghouse? Well, again, like I was saying, well, actually, let me read this text from Powder Puff here because it kind of goes hand in hand. That the clearinghouse thing is dumb. You are not going to be able to restrict how much an NIL deal is worth. That NIL deal is going to be worth what the person paying the money is willing to pay for it. There's no judge in America that will allow that to be exactly.
They wouldn't allow that in any industry.
Uh-huh. So every university is going to have a certain amount of money within the salary cap that they need to allocate to their roster. But depending on the university, depending on the partnerships that they have outside the university community, depending on what kind of prominent alumni they have that run major corporations or companies, there's still going to be an influx of NIL dollars that are flowing in from outside the nominal collective that the university will operate. I know the universities don't technically operate the collectives right now, but they will before long. I Bleed Crimson wants to know, what's the latest scuttlebutt on Porter to Nova? Save that question, I Bleed Crimson. We're going to ask Brody Lusk that question at 3:20 once the rush kicks off. He's going to join the show. Obviously, a fine OU basketball reporter from OUinsider.com, has the pulse on the program from really all directions. So we're going to talk to him about the latest between Porter and Villanova, how real that is, what might happen there, etc. Gunny said, what did I miss? Billie Jean came over the radio, so turned y'all off for a minute. Really, Gunny?
Damn.
We're less of a priority to you than Billie Jean? Do you not have Spotify?
I was about to say, you can play that on demand.
You know, you can't play. Well, I guess you can play us on demand. That doesn't really hold up. Shoot. All right, Gunny, you win this round. We're due for a timeout. Let's hit one. We'll come back with one more segment of Locked In before 3 more hours of sports talk featuring Grayson, Singleton, and myself. It's going to be a long, long afternoon. A lot of basketball watching ahead. Glad we get to enjoy it with you on this, the opening day of March Madness 2025. Keep it here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Bleed Crimson? Love great Sooner talk? Join the Ref Army by downloading our free app. Toby and TJ, Plank and Josh, Steelman and Thune, and Teddy and Tyler. We have the Sooner experts. The Ref is home to Sooner fans worldwide.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
The Ref is the home of Sooner fans and is once again your home for chaos. Every game-changing hit.
Long fly ball to left. Track. Whoa. Gone.
Every strikeout.
Got him. Swinging.
Every defensive gem.
He caught it. He caught it.
Every game. All year. The Ref has you covered.
It's Sooner Baseball's first SEC home series against Mississippi State this Friday at 6, Saturday at 4, and Sunday at 2, right here on the Ref and the K-Ref app.
In the age of internet and all things fast-moving, it's hard to find people you can trust. When it comes to your home or business electrical systems, don't settle for anything but the best. Wade Electric has been serving Oklahoma since 1969 and will gladly address your electrical needs with diligence and professionalism. They specialize in service upgrades, exterior and accent lighting, power automation and controls, shop and outbuilding wiring, LED conversions, and more. Go with a name you can trust and call Wade Electric today at 405-329-1940.
A happy place comes in many colors. One that leaves you feeling refreshed. Something that gets you all fired up. Or gives you the space to chill. Whatever your color, bring happiness home with CertaPro Painters and make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Get started today at CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Looking for the ultimate way to bring fun to your home this season? Galaxy Home Recreation has you covered. From top-of-the-line pool tables, hot tubs with the best hydrotherapy in the business, to exciting home theater seating. Visit our showroom today and let our experts create the perfect setup for family fun or entertaining friends. Located outside of the Sooner Mall in Norman on the north side of the building. Mention this radio ad and receive your exclusive offer. Galaxy Home Recreation, family owned and operated in Oklahoma since 1975.
I'm Kaylee England, a former University of Oklahoma women's soccer player, and I want to share my wonderful experience with Mitchell's Jewelry. My fiancé received his grandmother's heirloom ring to incorporate her diamonds into my engagement ring. We wanted a jeweler who could combine the love of her ring with my vision. Mitchell's Jewelry was thrilled to take on such a special project. I couldn't be happier with the attention and expertise they gave us and my ring. I am honored to wear something so full of love. If you're looking for your dream ring, the team at Mitchell's Jewelry can make it happen.
Schumacher Law Group, when experience matters. Tracy Schumacher is a former prosecutor and former district judge. Whether it's a probate challenge, criminal charges, or contentious divorce proceedings, experience matters. The attorneys at Schumacher Law Group provide compassionate, knowledgeable advice, all while fighting for your best interests. Find Schumacher Law Group online at lawgroupok.com or call 405-701-1882. Hometown lawyers ready to fight for you when experience matters.
Wounded Warrior Project helps post 9/11 veterans and their families realize what's possible. With support and resources that bring warriors together and empower them to become stronger, both inside and out.
It's possible to begin healing.
To get the help you need.
To find peace.
And as each warrior's needs evolve, so do we. Because these last 20 years are just the beginning. Learn more at woundedwarriorproject.org/possible.
Let's talk a little recruiting while we still can, because I don't know where the rush is going to take us over the next 3 hours. A couple storylines of note with regard to recruiting in the 2026 cycle for Oklahoma. This was something we talked a little bit about last week, but not a ton. Wanted to do a little bit of a deeper dive into this particular recruitment. Oklahoma very recently got involved, tossed an offer out to 4-star wide receiver Jaden Petite out of First Baptist Academy in Naples, Florida. Now, he visited Oklahoma on March 8th, did not have an offer at the time, did not get the offer on the visit, but got a call from Emmett Jones a couple days later letting him know, hey, we want you to come play football here. You've got an offer. So he's got the offer now, strongly considering an official visit to Oklahoma. Nothing set in stone yet. But that kid's big. That's what stands out about him. 6'4", 206 pounds. And Oklahoma's recruiting some big bodies at the wide receiver position in the 2026 cycle already. Alger Miles is a bigger guy that jumps to mind. Daniel Odom has some size. He's in that 6'2", 6'3" neighborhood. Of course, he's committed, at least for the time being. But, Grayson, you got the chance to watch the tape on Jaden Petite. What do we think about him as a prospect?
Really damn good. I mean, you mentioned the size stands out. He moves like a dude that's 5'10". So fluid with his releases, in and out of breaks. He moves like Deion Burks, except he's 4 or 5 inches taller. And by the way, really good body control for a kid that young at that size. So he will be, whether he lands with Oklahoma or not, he will be a very, very good college football wide receiver. No doubt. Runs good routes. You can do a lot with him. He lines up at the X. He lines up at Z. He lines up in the slot. So he's got a lot of positional versatility as well, which means you don't really have to recruit other types of receivers around him because he can do whatever. His first highlight on the tape, his quarterback starts to scramble. He's going up against a zone defense and just sits the route down. That is smartness that you don't always see from high school players. So I love his size. I love his route running. I love his hands, and I love what he's got upstairs too. He's gonna be a real good player.
Emmett Jones loves him a bigger bodied guy. Generally just one every single class. But he loves to find those bigger body guys that can really, really, really move. Ivan Carrion was the first such dude in the 2024 cycle. 6'6". We all wondered. I still kind of do. Is he more of a tight end in the long term? But he played wide receiver for Oklahoma as a true freshman, had a really, really strong performance in the bowl game. And then you fast forward to the 2025 class, and Emmett lands Manny Choice. to me, if you're just looking at the physical similarities between Manny Choice and Jaden Petit, Choice is 6'4", 212. Petit is 6'4", 205. But you're exactly right. When you're looking at Petit on film, it's the exact same thing that stood out about Choice when he was going through the recruitment process. Part of the reason I was of the opinion that dude was significantly underrated and a lot better of a football player than he was getting credit for much of the recruiting cycle. It's just the reality that dudes of that size generally do not move that well.
Yes.
When you watch Jaden Petit move, you're like, yep, okay, that'll play. That'll play in the SEC for certain. Now, what makes this thing interesting is that Oklahoma was way late to the party, obviously. He grew up a Florida State fan. He's had the Florida State offer for some time, but even so, Grayson, in talking to the kid, in talking to some folks that I trust down there in the Sunshine State, there's not really a clear favorite there. It's pretty wide open. He hasn't cut down his list. He's still hearing everybody out. And when I talked to him, you know who the other school he mentioned that's really impressed him with how much they've been in contact, how much they've been prioritizing him as well as the visit he took there?
Who?
Wisconsin.
Interesting.
Wisconsin. The two schools that he talked up were Oklahoma and Wisconsin. You'd have to think, right, that if it comes down to it, Oklahoma's going to win a recruiting battle for a wide receiver with Wisconsin, right?
Especially because, look, I don't know if he's attracted to schools who have desperate head coaches right now, because Luke Fickell's tenure up there at Wisconsin has not really been that impressive.
No, it's been rocky.
So, and we don't know how much longer he's gonna be there, how much longer of a leash they're gonna give him. You would have to imagine, especially with a kid from Florida. I mean, I know Oklahoma's a different state in terms culture-wise from Florida, but you can't get much different from Florida than Wisconsin. And I know that matters.
Yeah, man, that's got to be the culture shock of a lifetime. Going up there. I'm not sure how much you really get exposed to it when you're on a recruiting visit, but
especially
living in Wisconsin versus living in South Florida, yep. Way different.
When is the recruiting visit? In the middle of June or in the middle of October?
Oh, exactly. Like, dude, I hope you like snow. There's going to be a lot of it up there if you want to go there. By the way, quick aside, Alabama State has given Auburn all they can handle right now.
It's a 1-point game.
32-31 Auburn, 90 seconds to halftime. The Hornets are hanging in there.
They got a chance to take the lead right here.
The Hornets of Alabama State got a man going to the line for 2 free throws to potentially give them the lead against Auburn. Clearly, I was right in a certain sense. I didn't buy the hype with Auburn. Unfortunately, the team I had them losing to in the round of 32 is already out of the tournament.
4-star Evan from Blanchard on the text line. Fickell just got an extension somehow.
He did, which was weird.
Which is very weird. But again, let's draw some more parallels between Luke Fickell and Brent Venables.
Oh, here we go.
Guess who just signed an extension last summer? And is now coaching for his job, presumably this year.
I saw a lot of those takes when Luke Fickell signed the extension with Wisconsin. Isn't this just what Oklahoma did with Brent Venables? Why would you do this? Fair question.
But you know what else is also fair to say, even though it's a pretty low bar? Has Brent Venables had more success than Luke Fickell? He did have the 1-10-win season.
Fickell is what, like 13 and 15?
Something like that.
2 years at Wisconsin. Like
it's not good.
No, it's hovering right there around 500. And Wisconsin, like obviously that's a Big Ten program that has had success in recent years and in fact had a run of sustained success. They were playing for and winning Big Ten titles not long ago. Was that 2012 or 2013 when they just housed Taylor Martinez in Nebraska in the Big 12 title game? Monte Ball, James White. Who was the other running back? They had three.
Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon, of course. How did I forget? How is Melvin Gordon the one of those three that I spaced on?
Because the other two won Super Bowls?
That is true. But Melvin Gordon was the best of them in college.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah. Melvin Gordon. Man, prime Melvin Gordon was fun to watch. Chris from Knoxville points out the Bruce Pearl curse is about as strong as the Rick Barnes one. I don't know if any curse matches the Rick Barnes curse in terms of strength. But, Auburn not playing great ball right now.
Okay, so in his first year with Wisconsin, Luke Fickell went 7-5.
7-5.
And then got an extension right after that. He got a 1-year contract extension and pay raise in January 2024. And then 2024 they went 5-7.
So he is an even 500. He is 12-12.
Yes.
In 2 years at Wisconsin.
How do you get an extension off of 1 7-5 year? Actually, 7-6 because they lost the ReliaQuest Bowl to LSU.
Yeah, I am really not sure. But again, going back to Jaden Petit, he's one of those guys that you watch on tape and think, okay, really, like there's no way this kid goes to Wisconsin. Surely, you will think you would think there would be some more big time programs involved, heavily involved down the stretch to add a guy as talented as that, and he is really talented. Like Florida State, you would sooner believe that Florida State is in the driver's seat for a kid like that than a school like Wisconsin.
Yeah, no kidding.
Really, all you need to know in general here is that Oklahoma's going to be right there in the mix. Right there in the mix come OV season. They're probably going to get an OV from Petit. And they're hunting for 4 receivers. 4 receivers in the 2026 class. As we talked about, I don't think Daniel Odom's going to stick. And so, in my mind, for all intents and purposes, you have 4 spots that you're still recruiting for, as opposed to 3. Jeff from OKC asked, if Jaden O'Neal was not coming to OU, why move to Mustang? Well, for the moment, Jaden O'Neal is still coming to OU, and I bring that up because it kind of goes hand in hand with Daniel Odom. As I've said throughout the week, I don't know what's going to happen with Jaden O'Neal. He may stick with Oklahoma. He may not. I don't feel like Daniel Odom, is going to wind up in Oklahoma's class at this rate. But there's a very realistic chance, and in fact, I would say a likelihood, that Jaden O'Neal is still in Oklahoma's signing class come signing day. Because if not Bo Bentley, then who? You know, like let's say this whole Bo Bentley thing doesn't come to fruition for Oklahoma. Let's say he wants to go to LSU or Ohio State or Florida State or some other school. Is Jaden O'Neal going to move on at that point just because OU entertained Bo Bentley? I don't think so. If Bo Bentley commits to Oklahoma, then it becomes a lot more of a situation to monitor. For now, yeah, O'Neal's going to take some other visits, and he has taken some other visits. But outside of that, I don't sense that there's going to be a ton of traction between another school and Jaden O'Neal until or unless Bo Bentley is actually committed to Oklahoma. By the way, I'm having a ton of fun right now watching NC State head coach Will Wade and the McNeese Cowboys. They play fun ball.
They really do.
They're up on Clemson 16-8 right now. 9 minutes to play.
Who did you have picked in that game?
I had Clemson.
I had McNeese in both brackets I filled out this year.
Really?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I was rolling with Clemson. From my past experience, always that team that I picked to lose in the round of 64, and then they win in the round of 64. And also, I was kind of like, okay, with all the noise surrounding Will Wade and the NC State job and other jobs at that time, is he going to be all there? And are his players going to be all there?
So far, he's got them ready to play.
So far, he is all there, and his players are all there. They lead 18-8 now, early on Wade's alma mater, the Clemson Tigers. Chris from Knoxville said he's already terrorizing Clemson, and he hasn't even reached the ACC yet. LOL. Oh, it's going to be a fun afternoon. NCAA Tournament action all day long. We are going to discuss all of it in great detail. As much so as we can over the next 3 hours on The Rush, because Grayson and I aren't going anywhere. Matter of fact, we're just getting started. Tyler McComas and Teddy Lehman are both out today and tomorrow, so Grayson and I have you for 3 more hours on The Rush, all the way up until 6 p.m. local time. You're not going to want to go anywhere. On the other side, on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3439, let's talk about whatever you want to talk about. 3 more hours of radio ahead here on The Ref, the home of